Most women think arguments are what destroy relationships, but that is not true. Silence destroys relationships. Resentment destroys relationships. Emotional exhaustion destroys relationships. Arguments simply reveal that something hidden underneath the surface was already hurting long before the fight ever happened. And this is where most women misunderstand men completely. Because the moment tension enters the relationship, women often panic emotionally. They start wondering, is he losing feelings? Is he becoming distant? Is this the beginning of the end? But here's the truth most women never hear. A man does not fall out of love because of one argument. He falls out of love when peace slowly disappears from the relationship. This is Wise Man. And today, you are about to understand why the right kind of conflict can actually make a man love you more deeply than before, while the wrong kind slowly destroys emotional attraction over time. One thing women rarely realize about men is that men are not afraid of disagreements. Men are afraid of emotional pressure that never ends. There is a huge difference. A disagreement is normal. Different opinions are normal. Frustration is normal. Two human beings will never think, react, or feel exactly the same way all the time. But when every small issue becomes emotional chaos, something inside a man slowly starts shutting down. Constant criticism, emotional explosions, passive aggression, manipulation disguised as communication, punishment disguised as boundaries. After enough time, love stops feeling peaceful and starts feeling emotionally heavy. And the moment a relationship feels emotionally heavy all the time, a man slowly begins withdrawing, little by little. Not because he stopped caring, because emotionally he stopped breathing comfortably inside the relationship. Most women do not notice this happening immediately, because men rarely announce emotional exhaustion right away. They become quieter first, less expressive, less emotionally open, less affectionate, less excited to engage. And by the time the distance becomes obvious, the emotional damage has often been building silently for months. Number 1. Arguments reveal your real emotional character. Anyone can appear loving during easy moments. Anyone can be sweet during vacations, compliments, affection, intimacy, and good moods. But conflict exposes who you truly are emotionally. Do you communicate or attack? Do you express pain or create destruction? Do you solve problems or try to win emotionally? Do you protect the connection or damage it just to feel temporarily powerful? Because during arguments, a man unconsciously studies something extremely important. Does this woman become emotionally dangerous when she is upset? That question changes everything psychologically. Because men do not deeply attach to women who feel emotionally unpredictable. They attach to women who still feel emotionally safe, even during difficult moments. And most women destroy attraction without realizing it. Not through anger itself, but through emotional cruelty. The insults, the humiliation, the mocking, the bringing up of old wounds just to hurt him harder. The threats to leave every time emotions become intense. The emotional attacks designed to make him feel weak, ashamed, trapped, or unwanted. Women think men forget those moments. They do not. A man may stop mentioning it, but emotionally, he remembers exactly how small, disrespected, or emotionally unsafe you made him feel during the conflict. And once emotional safety disappears, real intimacy quietly starts dying underneath the relationship. Because emotional safety is not created during easy moments. It is created during difficult ones. Number 2, men pull away when they feel emotionally cornered. This is one of the biggest misunderstandings women have about men emotionally. Women often believe that if he loves her, he should immediately talk everything through. But men process emotional overwhelm differently. Women often speak to release emotion. Men often go silent to contain emotion. That silence does not always mean disconnection. Sometimes he's trying not to say something destructive while emotionally overwhelmed. But many women panic during male silence, so they pressure harder. Talk to me now. Why are you shutting down? Why are you acting distant? Why cannot you communicate? And without realizing it, the relationship stops feeling emotionally safe for him, because a man cannot emotionally open himself while simultaneously feeling interrogated emotionally. Imagine trying to calm down while someone keeps emotionally pulling at you every few seconds. Eventually, your nervous system stops feeling safe enough to stay emotionally present. This is why emotionally intelligent women understand something powerful. Space is not always rejection. Sometimes space is emotional recovery. And the women who understand this create much deeper emotional trust with men over time. Because when a man realizes he can calm down without being emotionally punished for it, he actually becomes more willing to return, communicate, and reconnect afterward. But when silence is constantly treated like abandonment, conflict becomes emotionally exhausting for both people. Number 3, the right woman makes conflict feel smaller, not bigger. This quality is rare, and men become deeply attached to women who know how to do this. Most people intensify conflict emotionally. They raise the emotional temperature, raise the pressure, raise the tension, raise the emotional chaos. But emotionally mature women do the opposite. They calm the emotional atmosphere instead of poisoning it further. And psychologically, this changes everything for a man. Because now conflict no longer feels like emotional warfare. It feels manageable, repairable, safe, temporary. And men remember that feeling deeply, because most men spend their entire lives carrying pressure already. Pressure from work, pressure from finances, pressure from expectations, pressure from responsibilities, pressure from life itself. So when home also becomes emotionally overwhelming, a man slowly loses the emotional desire to stay mentally connected there. But a woman who creates emotional peace during difficult moments becomes unforgettable emotionally. Not because she is perfect, because she feels safe to love. That does not mean she avoids difficult conversations. It does not mean she suppresses her feelings. It does not mean she tolerates disrespect. It means she communicates pain without emotionally destroying the connection in the process. There is a massive difference between expressing hurt and emotionally punishing someone. Emotionally mature women understand that difference clearly. Number 4, emotional punishment quietly destroys attraction. This is one of the most toxic habits in modern relationships. Ignoring him for days, withholding affection to gain control, becoming emotionally cold intentionally, creating distance just to make him suffer emotionally. Many women think this creates emotional power. It does not. It creates emotional insecurity, because now the relationship starts feeling conditional. Now love feels like something that disappears the moment conflict happens. And after enough time, a man stops relaxing emotionally around you. So he shares less, feels less, expresses less, opens up less. Not because he wants revenge, because emotionally he no longer feels safe being vulnerable around you. And vulnerability is the doorway to male attachment. Most women do not understand this deeply enough. A man emotionally bonds where he feels emotionally accepted during weakness, not just during strength. If every mistake leads to emotional punishment, eventually he stops exposing vulnerable parts of himself entirely. And once emotional vulnerability disappears, emotional intimacy slowly disappears with it. Number 5. Men never forget who you become during difficult moments. Most women think men remember beauty most, They do not. Men remember emotional experiences. A man never forgets the woman who stayed calm while everything became difficult. The woman who communicated without humiliating him. The woman who protected the relationship even while upset. The woman who knew how to solve problems without turning every disagreement into emotional destruction. Because arguments reveal emotional character faster than romance ever will. Anyone can create butterflies. Anyone can create excitement. Anyone can create chemistry in the beginning. Very few people create emotional peace. And peace is what makes a man stay emotionally attached long term. Not constant excitement. Not emotional drama. Not intensity. Peace. Because eventually every man unconsciously asks himself one question. Does being with her make my life emotionally heavier or emotionally lighter? And the answer to that question determines almost everything about long-term attachment. Now here's the truth most women never hear. A man does not fall deeper in love because you never fight. He falls deeper in love because even during conflict, you still feel emotionally safe to return to. You still feel like understanding instead of punishment. You still feel like peace instead of chaos. You still feel emotionally safe instead of emotionally dangerous. Because the woman a man becomes terrified of losing is not the woman who never upsets him. It is the woman who still feels like home after the argument ends. And that changes everything. Now let me make something very clear before we finish, because this part matters deeply. Being emotionally peaceful does not mean becoming emotionally silent. It does not mean tolerating disrespect. It does not mean suppressing your emotions. It does not mean accepting bad behavior just to keep the peace. Healthy relationships still require honesty, boundaries, accountability, and difficult conversations. But emotionally intelligent conflict sounds different. It sounds like, "This hurt me. I want us to solve this together. I need you to understand how this affected me. I care about this relationship enough to communicate calmly instead of destroy it emotionally." That energy creates repair instead of emotional damage. And men feel the difference immediately. Because emotionally mature women do not weaponize vulnerability during conflict. They use communication to reconnect instead of emotionally dominate. And that creates something rare in modern relationships. Safety. The truth is, most people are not emotionally exhausted from conflict itself. They are exhausted from emotional instability. From feeling like every disagreement could suddenly become emotional chaos. From feeling constantly criticized, constantly judged, constantly emotionally pressured. Subscribe to my channel first. But relationships where both people still feel emotionally respected during hard moments become incredibly strong over time. Because trust is not built by avoiding conflict completely. Trust is built by knowing the relationship can survive conflict without emotional destruction. So if you want a man to love you deeply long term, understand this carefully. He does not need perfection from you. He needs emotional safety. He needs to know that even during difficult moments, the relationship still feels emotionally safe enough to return to afterward. That is what creates lasting attachment. And here is what ties everything together. Real love was never built inside the perfect moments. It was built and proven inside the difficult ones. Because anyone can love someone on a good day. The real test of deep attachment is what happens between two people when everything feels hard, heavy, and uncomfortable. And what happens in those moments either builds something unbreakable or quietly erodes something that could have been beautiful. Most people are searching for a partner who never causes them pain, but that person does not exist. Because two whole human beings with different emotions, histories, triggers, and needs will inevitably create friction sometimes. That friction is not the problem. How it is handled is everything. A relationship where both people fight fair, communicate honestly, give space without abandonment, and return to each other with respect and repair becomes stronger after every difficult moment. not weaker. Because each resolved conflict builds proof. Proof that this relationship can hold weight. Proof that this person still chooses you, even when it is hard. Proof that love here is not conditional on perfection. And that proof becomes the foundation of the deepest kind of trust that exists between two people. The kind that does not shake when things get difficult. The kind that makes a man think, I am not going anywhere, because I know we can always find our way back. So instead of fearing conflict in your relationship, ask yourself a better question. Am I someone who makes repair feel possible? Am I someone who communicates in a way that brings us closer? Am I someone who still feels like home, even after the argument ends? Because the answer to those questions determines far more about lasting love than anything else ever will. This was Wise Man, and I will see you in the next video.